What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Daryl. And before we jump into the episode, I first want to say if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification button so you can stay up to date on all the latest drops. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. We're almost there. We got a little ways to go, but we're trying to get there. Secondly, I want to say thank you to the Oklahoma fans, right? So the last video I did was about how would Oklahoma do in its first year in the SEC, right? And I thought the Oklahoma fans was gonna attack me, uh, and they was nice. They was really nice. So I appreciate all of the Oklahoma fans who engaged me in the comments, left a like, engaged in the video. Really appreciate y'all. Looking forward to communicating and engaging with y'all again. And I wish y'all nothing but the best of luck in recruiting and your first year in the SEC. Now, let's jump into the episode and let's talk about LSU. Y'all see what's on the bottom of the screen. Can LSU dominate again in 2024, right? Can the LSU defense dominate again in 2024? Also, players who make a impact. So what I did was I wrote down on my phone some notes on what I think uh, LSU needs to do personally, in my opinion, to return to its dominating fashion in 2024. Now, some of these things that I'm going to say LSU is already doing and has done before, but I'm just saying what I think they need to do going forward, right? So you got to take it with a grain of salt. It's my opinions on the matters. And like I said, some of the things LSU is already doing. So let's jump right on into it, right? So obviously, we all know we're all LSU fans. Raise my hand. I'm an LSU fan, born and raised in Opelousas, Louisiana. And we all know I've been watching LSU since 2000, right? And LSU has always, to me, had a history of producing a strong defensive unit, right? We've produced some of the greats, right? I ain't even gonna start naming them, but we have produced a lot of great individual defensive players, as well as we've had really great legendary defensive units as a whole to take the field. Last year in 2023, right? LSU's defense was just abysmal, right? Matt House got fired. Um, Brian Kelly brought in Blake Baker along with a few other defensive assistants, right? We brought back Corey Raymond, we got Bo Davis, all of these studs, right? So they're taking Brian Kelly's taking the right steps to get LSU back to its old dominant ways. But one of the first things I want to talk about is recruiting top tier talent. And again, that's something that LSU has always done in the past, and that's something that LSU is doing again in 2024. So hopefully you can see my graphic here, right? But let me remove this really fast. Okay. So here's my graphic. So LSU brought in 27 recruits, right? And out of the 27 recruits that they brought in, half are defensive recruits, right? So they brought in 17 defensive recruits. So I don't know if you can see this at home, but on my graph, I have you know, Dominique McKinley, right? And I have him with five exclamation marks by his name. And the reason why I put five exclamation marks by his name is because LSU is very, very thin at defensive tackle. Mason Smith went to the pros. Jordan Jefferson went to the pros, right? And so LSU is very thin at the defensive tackle spot. So thin that they had to move a offensive lineman to that spot to get them through the spring. And so um, I look for LSU to uh, obviously um, bring in some guys from the transfer portal, which they already did, and a guy like Sean Washington. They're going to develop guys that's already on the team, right? And they're also going to bring guys in from the high school ranks, right? But a guy like Dominique McKinley, he's 6'5", 290 pounds. The dude is huge, 6'5", 290 pounds. Now he's going to show up to the team, late because LSU started day one of 15 days of spring practice today, right? So he's going to show up after he graduated from high school, and so the question is his conditioning going to be there? Is his knowledge of the game going to be there, right? Because high school and college is a huge jump. I don't have to explain that. We all know that. and also is how physical is he going to be able to be, right? It's a huge step being able to come out of high school and playing in the SEC. The SEC is the toughest conference in college football, but I definitely will see. I definitely think that Dominique McKinley will touch the field versus, I hate to say this, cupcake opponents, and whether or not LSU is blowing a team out, and if it's later in the season again versus cupcake opponents. So I think the fact that LSU being thin at defensive tackle um, is a gives you kind of a good idea that Dominique McKinley is going to play early and could make an impact. Now, I hope that our defensive tackles that we have, the veteran guys, are playing so lights out that Dominique McKinley doesn't have to touch the field unless it's cleanup duty. But I would not be shocked to see Dominique McKinley playing sparingly in a few games his freshman year. Another guy who I put exclamation marks by is Xavier Atkins, right? He's an inside linebacker. He's 6 foot, 194 pounds. LSU is going to a 3-4 defense, right? So that's three down linemen, three linebackers, right? So LSU has some studs at linebacker. I think personally, right? Harold Perkins. We don't need to say who Harold Perkins is. They got Will Weeks and Penn is coming back along with a couple other guys. But I also think that Xavier Atkins will be able to um, contribute to the defense sparingly, right? I don't know how much of an impact he's going to make, but I think we will see him playing either on mop up duty or on special teams. And who knows, Brian Kelly might let him get on the field for a couple of games. Um, as you can see, right, there's other guys on the list. And the third guy that I want to talk about, who I know for a fact is going to play, I don't know if he's going to be a starter, but I know for a fact I'm willing to bet my paycheck on it. Well, I don't know for a fact, right? I'm not connected to anything inside of LSU, but I'm going to say I have a good feeling that he's probably going to play a lot. Is Sean Washington, right? He's a 6'4", 304 JUCO transfer. The dude is huge. 6'4", 304. And that's great because LSU is playing a 3-4 defense. Now, LSU is going to be multiple, but they're probably going to play a lot of 3-4 defense. And anyone knows a 3-4 defense, you need a really good nose tackle, right? A really big nose tackle, like a 304-pound nose tackle, to be able to play a two technique, right? That's two gaps on either side of the center, right? And hell, sometimes they expect you to play a three technique. But I think those three dudes, right? Dominic McKinley, Xavier Atkins, and Sean Washington are going to come in and are going to play. And I think Sean Washington is going to play a whole lot, a whole lot. I'm willing to bet that he's going to play a whole lot. And so this is just the graphic of guys that's coming from JUCO or the high school rankings, right? I didn't add any transfer portals. Well, I guess Sean Washington is a transfer portal guy, but I guess they classified him under the high school rankings or whatever. I got this graphic off one of the LSU websites. But yeah, so you know, talented recruiting, which, like I said, LSU has consistently recruited top tier defensive talent. Um, you know, it was just kind of with the draft and the transfer portal, and then Brian Kelly coming in with only a little bit under over 30 scholarship players. It's taken a little while, but you know, finally this year, this third year under Brian Kelly, you're beginning to see him getting in his guys and him getting in the depth that he need at these different spots, right? Next is coaching and development, of course, right? So effective coaching and player development are crucial for a dominating defense. Obviously, LSU coaching staff, their new defensive coaching staff, right? So you got Blake Baker, Corey Raymond, Bo Davis, a few other guys, right? That's coming in, right? I seen on a graphic somewhere that uh, on the defensive side of the ball, LSU's defensive coaches are top 10 in college in all of college football, right? So Blake Baker had took Missouri's bottom feeding defense and turned it into a top 25 defense last season. And LSU historically gets better recruits than Missouri. So that's something that I'm willing to hang my hat on, because if he was able to do that with um, Missouri's defense, I definitely think he can do wonders with a guy like Harold Perkins. and these other studs that's going to be playing on LSU's defense. But you also got Corey Raymond, who's back, the godfather of DBU, right? We don't need to talk about who Corey Raymond is, right? He's back. Uh, and we got some other studs that's back or that is here now, like Bo Davis, right? Bo Davis is now on the coaching staff, and he is the defensive line coach, right? And so Bo Davis, you go look at who Bo Davis has recruited and developed and put in the league, and then I'll let you figure out whether or not if Bo Davis was a good hire or not. And then next, like we talked about previously, right? But defensive depth, right? So LSU is thin at defensive tackle, right? They're also thin at cornerback and safety. Well, I wouldn't say, well, yeah, they're thin at cornerback, right? Again, LSU was known for being DBU, right? And over the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, we just haven't had that guy at the cornerback position, right? We had Derek Stingley, he left, and then we had Eli Ricks, but he left, right? Eli Ricks was supposed to be that guy that was supposed to take it from Derek Stingley. He didn't do it. He had some all type of issues up here, and then he went. Not making fun of anyone's mental health, but this is I don't think I'm not making fun of mental health. But I'm saying is when I said issues up here, I just don't get the decision making on why he decided to leave LSU to go to Alabama, and then he was on the bench at Alabama when he could have been the guy at LSU. So that's why I'm saying I just don't understand what he was thinking up here. Not making fun of anyone's mental health. But defensive debt is essential to it because of injuries. And hey, the SEC again is the hardest conference in college football, right? And you need good depth at the defensive spot because LSU gonna be playing a lot of physical games, and it's gonna be a long season, and you need guys who you can rotate in and give some of those starters and studs a breather, right? Get those big guys off that line, let them go get some oxygen, get some Gatorade, and get back in the game. But you need good defensive depth, and more importantly, when guys are gonna get hurt because guys are going to get hurt. Hopefully, knock on wood, no one gets hurt seriously, but guys are going to get nicked. They're going to get banged up, and you're going to need a lot of depth to help guys fight against fatigue and injuries and just have a good rotation so guys can stay fresh via in close games and doing a long SEC season. And then next, right, is um defensive identity, right? So um LSU again in the past uh was known, right, for being good on defense, right? If it's before we was good at quarterback, we was gonna have some studs on defense, whether it was gonna be um defensive end, defensive tackle, linebackers, cornerbacks, or safeties, right? We was gonna have some first or second round picks on that LSU defense, right? And it seems as it seems as the years have been going by, those um defensive studs and that identity of LSU being a tenacious, hard hitting defense has kind of faded away. But with Blake Baker, it's definitely going to come back because Blake Baker he likes to attack aggressively on defense. He's an aggressive attacking defensive coordinator, right? And so expect LSU to get back to that physicality, that tenaciousness. That's just that smash mouth defense, right? It gets him excited. I'm a defensive guy. I played linebacker in high school, and I played on a few adult tackle teams, and I like playing linebacker. I just like to hit people, right? It's nothing like defense, right? And so I wrote down that establishing a strong defensive identity can inspire confidence, which LSU's players seemed to kind of lack last year. And I think the offense honestly kind of lacked confidence in the defense because LSU offense was a national championship offense. Man, we have two first round wide receivers. Brian Thomas Jr. ran a 4.4 40-yard dash at 6'4", 209 pounds. He's gone in the first round. And Malik Neighbors is definitely gone in the first round, probably a top 10 first round pick. Malik Neighbors is, and Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be a top 25 pick, right? I think. And then we already know that boy JD5, Heisman Trophy winner, right? Um, is going to go in the first round, probably third. It's looking like he's going to go third to the New England Patriots. And LSU's offense finished top of all offenses in college football last season, right? So I think secretly, these guys won't ever tell you that in person, but probably secretly, they probably say to themselves, dang, the defense really let us down because the offense was a national championship caliber offense. The defense, nope, very bad defense last year. So look for LSU to get back to that identity, right? Um, like I said, tenacious, physical, and just executing with discipline, right? And then instilling fear in opponents and earning respect across the league. Because I think a lot of uh, coaches in SEC last year took LSU's defense as a joke. And LSU has a great opportunity in Las Vegas, the first game of the season, to put fear and this to beat up on USC come the first game of the season, because that's going to be a standalone game on national television. And LSU can announce that they back. You know what I mean? And last, I want to talk about adaptability, right? So what I wrote down was the ability to adapt to different offensive schemes and strategies is crucial for defensive success. LSU defense can stay ahead of the curve by studying opponents' tendencies and making in-game adjustments and remaining versatile in their approach. Now, LSU is already doing this. I wrote this down because mainly because last year it just seems like sometimes LSU, our team would have very good success versus LSU um like a week before, right? So let's say Florida State or somewhere, right? Florida State, right? Florida State was able to pass the ball and run the ball all over LSU, but more so pass the ball all over LSU, right? Keon Coleman and that Johnny Walker guy, that tall wide receiver, they had a field day on LSU. And it just seems like then the next game you were like, you know what, LSU is gonna clean that up. And then nope, they didn't clean it up. Or you will see that like LSU will be playing like trash, and then you say, okay, in halftime, they're gonna come out and they're going to be able to make the necessary adjustments. And then like halftime come out, the other team get the ball and they just draw right back down the field and score on LSU. And you just like, damn, did y'all even adapt? Did y'all even adjust right? I definitely was screaming at the field because I went to the Wisconsin game and it just seemed like LSU's defense couldn't stop Wisconsin, and they stopped them again. They did stop them to win the game in the fourth quarter, but it just seems like at first I'm like dang, we really gonna let Wisconsin do this to us? We really gonna let Wisconsin beat us? So this adaptability, and like I have no doubt that Brian Kelly, Blake Breaker got the guys in the film room and teaching guys and going to be putting guys in the proper techniques and the proper position to make plays. But I just wanted to highlight that in my notes that I wrote down. And I mean, overall, man, LSU defense has the potential to dominate again in 2024. I'm not going to say they're going to be the best defense in the college football, but I do think that Blake Baker is going to put LSU in. I'm going to say we're going to be a top 25 defense. That's what I'm going to say. I want to say I really want to be bold and say that we're going to be a top 20 defense, but I'm going to say we're going to be a top 25 defense, right? That's what I'm going to say. But again, right, it's going to take a combination of talent, which we got, coaching, which we got one of the best coaching units in the country on defense, depth, which we're working on. The transfer portal is going to be opening up here in a few days, so I'm pretty sure LSU is going to try to go back in again and get some guys at that defensive tackle spot, and adaptability. And success is never guaranteed in college football or in the pros, right? Because you got injuries, you got the transfer portal, you got all of these things, you got NIL. But you know, it ultimately depends on players executing what the coaches have them do, right? It's all about once the whistle blows and it's a kickoff, the players are playing on the field, the coaches are on the sideline. So it's up to the coaches to give the players and put them in the best position, and it's up to the players to execute the game plan. And I 100% believe that LSU is going to return to um its dominant ways in 2024, right? It's the only thing you can do is go up. You can't go down. They can't play any worse than they played last year. And I don't think Brian Kelly went out and gutted his whole defensive staff for LSU to play on the same level as they played last year or even worse. So that's it for me. LSU fans, let me know in the comment section how y'all feel about LSU's defense returning to its dominant ways from the past in 2024. Also, let me know what young players you think are going to make an impact on the defense, or what guys that's already on the team is going to make a impact on the defense, minus Harold Perkins, because we all know who Harold Perkins is. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and leave a comment. Until next time, I'm out.